Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another fashion edition. Today we are taking a look at all the royals who attended the Paris Olympics opening ceremonies and the first few days and what the royal ladies wore. Princess Charlene of Monaco, who is a former Olympian herself, was at the opening ceremony wearing a monochrome off-white, almost silvery white jumpsuit sort of look with silver accessories. I don't absolutely love this jumpsuit for her because I feel like it just looks a tad bit frumpy in the lower waistline area around the hip, almost like the lap areas. It looks just a little frumpy. The fabric is just a little bit stiff, which gives the outfit nice balance and it helps to balance her shoulders. She has slightly broader shoulders than hips, so she's a slight inverted triangle sort of a shape. But she is really tall and she has a nice long torso with a well-defined waist, so that really helps to add balance. And by having her trousers not too tight, it helps also to add balance. I also think the waistband maybe could have been a little bit bigger or just a little lower maybe would have also helped. I'm not sure. Maybe if it was tailored a little bit tighter just under the boobs, that also could have helped. It just maybe looked a tad bit ill-fitting in some ways, but overall it's really nice. Also, like the shoulder line even here, I'm noticing almost looks a tad bit too wide. Regardless, her hair and makeup look really beautiful here, and in general she looks really beautiful and polished. I just think the fit could have been a little better to flatter her more. Queen Mary's beautiful red blouse and white trouser combo here is classic, chic, and beautiful. It's nothing too fancy where it looks out of place at a sporting event. It was just right. Still professional, still suitable for a queen, but not over the top, not fussy, not out of place. Fun fact, she met her husband, Frederick, at the Sydney Olympics, so that's fun. Here we have Belgium's king and queen attending the reception for the opening ceremony. This outfit is really nice on her. It's a great color for her. She looks really beautiful. It pops. It's something perfect for the event. I like her shoes quite a little bit, and the fact that everything matches really nicely. Once again, I find the fit of this dress to be maybe a tad bit off. It could have been tweaked a little bit to be just ever so slightly more flattering to her. The pleats from where the skirt begin, paired up with the volume in the sleeves and the cuffs, is looking like it's almost a size too big. It's designed to have these slightly looser sleeves and cuffs, but because of the pleats paired up with it, where the skirt looks like that too, and the collar up here also looking like it's just a little bit like wide and big, it created the illusion that that was not intentional, the fit of this. When you're getting something that's meant to be a little bit oversized, just ask yourself, does this look on purpose? Because if it doesn't look like it's intentionally slightly oversized or slightly roomy, then it's like, maybe she should have had that tailored. And that's what we have happening here. It creates an interesting silhouette. It just doesn't quite read intentional enough. While I like the general style of First Lady Macron's dress here, coat dress, I don't think it's fitting her well enough, and I don't like the beige color. It's giving trench vibes, but not bad. You know, it's not like the wrinkly trenches that Meghan always went for. In fact, maybe Meghan Markle should try one of these next time because she loved wearing trench style stuff, but it was always so messy and overwhelming to her that maybe if she would have done a fit and flare style like this, which is what would be great on Meghan Markle, to do something more fit and flare in a beige color like this, but that's fitted this way. Maybe that would have been a better compromise for her. But as far as this one goes here, it just looks to be a little bit too roomy throughout the waist. And the drop waist of it, I think it's okay if it were just fitted a little better. It's clear that it's a little big on her. And maybe not beige. Let's do something funner. It's the Olympics. Let's do something fun and exciting. Queen Mathilde's sort of poppy-inspired dress here is quite pretty. I think that it's a slightly unfortunate design pattern because when you have the brighter color around the waist or the belly or the hips, it's going to make that area look a little bit wider visually. Black is going to like make it look smaller and thinner, darker colors in general, while lighter colors are going to make something look wider and bigger. Same with like texture, something that's shiny or mesh or has a lot of texture. It's going to make things look a little bigger, wider, thicker, heavier to the eye versus something that's a smoother fabric, more like plain fabric, less shiny, matte, things like that is going to look a little thinner, more slenderizing. So for this particular dress, having the lighter panel across the waist and lower belly area paired up with what looks to be maybe a tad bit of wrinkles here and there, or maybe she didn't have a smoothing layer underneath. Maybe it could just be the picture and the angle. It wasn't as flattering as it could have been. But again, part of that is the design of the dress itself. It should have gone for the darker colors in the center. Switch that around a little bit. It's much more flattering for ladies, no matter your shape or size. It's much more flattering for us and our bodies to have a darker color. If you're going to do banding sort of situation, to have the darker color around the waist. Queen Mary once more at the IOC Gala, the International Olympic Committee Gala here. She wore a Max Mara jumpsuit, and this is fitted to her really nicely. The fact that she has this belt here that's a nice slender belt, really reining in the waistline, but also gives you something to look at. It creates a focal point that is flattering for her body type. Now, if she had a bit of a tummy or she was more like apple-shaped or something, if she didn't have a well-defined waist or something like that, then you would want to stay away from that. But for her, it creates a nice place to rest the eye, and it allows the rest to flow really nicely. Notice her pants are not puddling up, folding up, eating her shoes alive. It is hemmed properly. It can be done. Quite like the slight draping up here across the chest. It's a very pretty jumpsuit, a pretty color on her. It's polished, it's sleek, very nice. Queen Letizia looked amazing in this glamorous dress for this gala dinner. This is a Dior dress from their Spring/Summer 2024 collection. You might notice it's quite reminiscent of this really iconic design that they have redone year after year, but this I absolutely love. It's a beautiful fit and flare silhouette that's going to flatter the feminine figure, accentuating your waistline even more, creating beautiful balance to the silhouette. And then it's got this beautiful embroidery across the top and the skirt. It's so gorgeous. Some might find the skirt to be a little bit busy, but I really quite like it. I think it works nicely, and because the top echoes the pattern in its embroidery, but is rather monochrome, it's black with the gold sort of embroidery, I think it works really well. The only thing I would say about this particular look is that I wish her shoes did not have an ankle strap. It really brought down the look, and it chunked up those ankles, making them look shorter, like the dress was too long. It was a bad move. She needed just a nice sleek pump that did not have an ankle strap to make this successful. Back to Queen Mathilde of Belgium here. She opted for a jumpsuit for this. I think this is the gala again. I like parts of this. I hate other parts of this. The trousers did not work here. Hers are maybe hemmed a tad bit too short. Perhaps she opted for a different pair of shoes that had a higher heel than when she had this tailored, but this is giving just a little bit like bell-bottom flare vibes here, like 70s style. It's just ever so slightly too short, these trousers are. So you can tell, giant man pants, wide leg trousers in general, you need to be really careful about how you hem them. And unfortunately, it's one of those items where you get it hemmed and then you need to stick with that height of shoe every time you wear them. So they can be a less versatile option for your closet depending on your shoe game. If you're somebody who always wears the same height of shoe, they'll be fine. But if you're somebody who plays around with different heights of boots, sneakers, trainers, flats, pumps, stilettos, and you're going all over the spectrum of, no heel to 6-inch heels, then wide leg trousers are not going to be very versatile in your closet because they need to be hemmed for one height, one length, one pair of shoe, and that's it. Regardless of the trousers not necessarily being hemmed to the perfect length, they're not exactly the most flattering across her belly and lap area either, due to the fact that this sort of sheer overlay to the top, which I like. I actually quite like the almost veil-like overlay to this top here. It's like a cape situation. I like that. And I think that's really, really nice too. If you don't like showing your arms and you want to do something sleeveless, having a sheer overlay can make you feel a little bit more comfortable about that, blend any imperfections you're worried about or what have you. So I like that, but because the hemline of it in the front lands right below where the shirt gathers in, the top portion gathers in and the waistband is, then it's really creating a focal point of the lower belly area. It's just not a good place to have a focal point in this case, especially if you're somebody who has a little bit of a tummy. You don't want to create a focal point of the lower belly area. It's not going to be very flattering. I think that they didn't intend for that to happen because really the eye initially is drawn to that capelet, that sheer capelet that's on top, and it's very beautiful. But then when you take in the whole outfit, you rest where the hem of that capelet is. So that was an unfortunate design, but overall her hair and makeup look beautiful, and I think that it had great potential. It just didn't quite hit the mark. As far as the other lady in this picture, the caped dress looks quite nice, but it's not fitting her perfectly, and the necklace doesn't necessarily align properly here, so maybe she should have chosen a different necklace or just had the dress modified to where the collar of the dress was in harmony with the necklace. The fact that it's misaligned here is making it look just a little messy. I also would have recommended a different shoe for her. These ankle straps and the line across the top of her foot here are shortening her just a tad in the leg and foot area, the ankle area. Just some classic pumps. You really can never go wrong with classic basic high heels. They can have a slightly thicker block heel. They can have a thinner stiletto style heel, but they don't have to be super high. They can be any height, but when they're just this classic silhouette like this, it's so much more versatile. It goes so much nicer, and generally speaking looks much more elegant. It's less disruptive, less chaotic down there at the foot. You want to pay attention to your footwear, because if you do notice the feet, if you do notice the shoes, you want them to look nice, but you don't necessarily want to be creating visual noise down there at your feet. For that opening day gala, we have Princess Charlene of Monaco in a jumpsuit by Alexander McQueen that is fabulous. This is quite the statement. So this looks like it has a bit of a sculptural element here on one shoulder, asymmetrically sweeping, draping down into a bit of a train on one side. I quite like it. It looks like it's a little bit wrinkly, like it needed to be steamed or something first, but in general, this is a really nice way to add a little asymmetry to help balance out that shoulder line by having a train going to add a little volume to her legs, to her lower portion, the lower half of her silhouette, which will help to balance the shoulder. Having something asymmetrical also helps to minimize a wider shoulder line. So those are great styling techniques for her. In general, I think that the outfit looks like it fits her really nicely, and it's pretty nice. I'd say maybe the trousers maybe could have used a slightly better fit, but in general, this is really nice. Alexander McQueen. So typically it's pretty perfect. This picture in the dark color of it is a little hard to tell, but I think it's safe to say that this was a win. Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg opted for a sort of chocolate brown satiny halter style dress, and she's got these longer earrings with the turquoise stone at the bottom. She's got nude shoes, and then she's got a sort of shawl. This outfit is just not quite working, unfortunately. So having a collar like this for a halter top, you're having a lot of fabric draped across this area, and you have the collar, and it looks like it's a tie version, so she's got like a string of it hanging down in the front, and it's satiny. So that's a lot happening right up here. You wouldn't want your earrings to also land right there. That's just adding clutter. It's not working. If she just had turquoise stones up here on her ears, just big chunky turquoise like stud style earrings, that would have been fine and looked really pretty because the colors go nicely together. You just don't want a dangly earring hitting at the exact location that your collar or your turtleneck or your, whatever it is that you have right here all in the same spot. You don't necessarily want that. You want to give your collar or your neckline room to breathe and do its own thing, and keep your earrings and your jewelry a little bit farther away from your neckline. The shawl, I think, is fine if you want a modesty shawl or for the weather you need a shawl. It maybe could have stood to be a slightly more elevated choice in terms of the shawl itself, the fringe on it and the color of it don't necessarily look like they go perfectly with the outfit. I think that the shoes are fine, the hemline of the dress is fine. It's not the most flattering look, but I think that her hair and makeup are lovely, and in general, she didn't have any major faux pas that would be considered disastrous. It just maybe could have used a little bit better styling. Princess Anne, who is president of the British Olympic Association, a former Olympic competitor herself, and a member of the IOC, met with Team Great Britain athletes in Paris at the British Embassy, and she delivered a really great speech. She looked perfectly polished here in this crisp white shirt and navy blazer with her beautiful brooch, great choice of jewelry. She looked polished, she looked ready to do her work, she looked very Princess Anne, and it was lovely to see her. I'm sure it's one of the highlights of her calendar, always getting to go and attend these Olympic events. She and her daughter Zara both competed in the Olympics and very much seem to appreciate sport and whatnot, so I'm sure this is very fun for her. I hope that she continues to take it easy, though, as she continues to recover. Well, what was your favorite of the royal ladies' outfits so far? Too bad we didn't get to see Catherine, Princess of Wales there, because I'm sure she would have worn something absolutely stunning and spectacular. Maybe she would have worn her red pantsuit that was so wonderful. I think that was Alexander McQueen. That would have been really nice. But regardless, it's more important that she continues to recover and take it easy and do what she really wants and spend her time with her family and continue to get well. But leave in the comments what your favorite was. Thank you so much for joining me for today's fashion edition. I truly hope you enjoyed it. And since you did stay to the end, it's time for the question of the day. This commentator asked me to do a full-blown video about this, and maybe I will if I can find the clip, but I remember seeing this. Meghan is basically laughing at someone singing the Canadian national anthem when they were at, I think it was when they were at the hockey game in Canada last year. And Harry was ignoring her, but Meghan was like smirking and turning around and kind of like laughing at this woman, is at least what it looked like. Now this circles back to why protocol is important. Protocol when a national anthem is being played, and like culturally, generally speaking, in any culture, you basically stand at attention. You're not to be talking, looking at your phone, looking around, looking down, none of that stuff. You're supposed to just stand there and be respectful of the moment. For some people who have been in military service or those who have lost people, veterans, for some people, it can be a very meaningful moment in, an event to hear the national anthem played. For some people, athletes who compete for their country at the Olympics, for example, it can be a very moving moment. It feels inspiring and important that you're there representing your country, and you should feel proud of that. These are the types of moments where it's really, really poor taste to be screwing around or laughing. And this is not the only time that Meghan has done this. She seems to have this sort of snooty vibe where she will laugh at people when they're singing or when they're doing a performance or something if she doesn't particularly like it and she doesn't realize how bad it makes her look. But leave it in the comments if you guys want me to find the clip and include it in an upcoming video about Meghan's poor manners, and I will. Also, if you have a question you'd like included in question of the day at the end of a video, leave it in the comments and I will collect them to answer them in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope that you have a happy day ahead. I'll see you next time. Bye!